Welcome to Breaking the Silence, the podcast where real conversations meet real healing. We're your hosts, Renee and Kelly, two women who know what it's like to walk through loss, face hard truths, and come out stronger on the other side. Together, we're breaking down walls, sharing stories, and talking openly about everything from grief and healing to love, faith, and relationships. This is a safe space for laughter, honesty, and those Me Too moments that remind us we're not alone. So grab a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and let's journey through life together. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. I'm Renee.
And I'm Kelly.
Alrighty, Kelly. So first of all, I want to hear about, you've probably had, depending on how much you want to share, like you've had some exciting things going on. How have things been?
Yeah, we've had a lot of things going on. And I don't think we've recorded since this happened. And I didn't put this on social media, but I can't remember if I talked about Sunny, that we had to have our dog put to sleep. Okay. And then we went on vacation, which was amazing. Of course, it went way too fast, but it was just amazing. And I really do feel incredibly blessed to be able to go on these vacations, you know, to not feel like to take them for granted. But anyway, it was amazing. The weather was beautiful. And then I got back and I started my new position at work. And so, yeah, just a lot of changes. It's they're good changes, but you know, I'm just kind of trying to give myself grace and be patient too, because it's like, anyway, just a lot of changes and just knowing this will all feel familiar to me at some point. You know, with every change, you're like, and you just have to look back and you're like, even with that change, you know, everything became familiar and stuff like that. And, you know, so.
Yeah, I think that whole part of just learning new, right? Like you said, I mean, it's uncomfortable of learning new, but it won't be long and you'll be like, oh my gosh, like this is a piece of cake, like, you know? So the weather was beautiful, huh?
It was amazing. It was so nice. Every day we were there, it was so nice. I think I got too much sun, but yeah, it was super nice. We really didn't do a lot. I mean, it really was like beach days, pool days. I think we took a day trip to Clearwater, but yeah, really we didn't do much. We just kind of relaxed and just had a good time.
For me, like that is honestly the best kind of like vacation. Seriously, like I'm all about like, I do not personally, for me, I do not like to go on vacation to be like, go, 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 you know? Like I am completely content with laying on the beach or laying at the pool, reading a book, like slow mornings, like all the things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, I almost sent you this text the other day because I was so proud of myself. I actually read a book on vacation. I can't tell you last time I did that, if I ever did that. I did. Now, I don't know if you will be impressed or any of the listeners, but it was actually Bunny's book, Bunny XO, Jelly Roll's wife's book.
Oh, yeah.
Have you? Yeah. So my sister got it.
What'd you think of it? Because I've heard that people think it's really good. What'd you think?
I thought it was really good. I felt like, I mean, you know, it's sad, but at the same time, just to see like her faith and just how like their lives, you know, just like all these trials and tribulations, but how they have, you know, overcome and stuff like that. Some things I felt like I could relate to. But it was really good. I mean, it was one that, because usually I can't read a book. I read a couple pages, I'm like, I'm done. It literally was like a complete page turner. I almost felt like even though I was reading it, I felt like she really was telling the story. Does that make sense? Almost like I'm reading it, but so it was almost just like having a conversation. I felt like I was having a conversation reading this book. So anyway, it was really good.
Well, good. Yeah, I've heard, well, I mean, it's not the New York Times bestseller, but I've heard from people that they think it's really good. So And I love those
Yeah.
books
I mean, it's kind of
where you
raw.
just, well, I assumed it probably would be.
Yeah. Yes. I think it even says like
um,
unfiltered or something.
okay, yeah. Um, yeah, it is, isn't it? That in the title of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or
think so.
anyways, but I love those books that are just completely like the page turners, that you just can't put them down. Those are the best. Alrighty, so let's jump into what we're actually going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about something that I think a lot of women, quietly wrestle with, but don't necessarily say it out loud.
Yeah, this is one of those conversations where a lot of women are probably going to feel seen.
Mm, yeah, I think so. Um, because today we're asking a question that can feel surprisingly hard to answer. And the question is, who am I outside of who everyone needs me to be?
And if you're a mom listening, you probably have felt that question somewhere in your chest.
Right? Because when you're raising kids, caring for people, supporting a partner, navigating grief, holding families together, you can wake up one day and realize, I don't even know what I like anymore. And I think this starts so gradually. Like, it's not like one day we decide, okay, I'm just going to disappear as a person.
Yeah, it happens slowly, gradually over time.
Exactly. And you become the one who remembers everything, the appointments, the school things, who needs shoes, who's having a bad day, you become the emotional thermostat. So, like, if someone's upset, you're the one trying to smooth it over.
Exactly. And if you're like a lot of moms, you're not just doing it for your kids, you're doing it for your parents, your partners, ex-partners, stepkids, friends.
Mm, exactly. And then one day, someone asks you a simple question like, what do you enjoy doing? And you pause because your brain goes, I don't know. What does everybody else need first? And I honestly can relate to this so much because I can remember people asking me literally like, so what do you do for fun, or what do you do in your free time, or whatever, questions like that. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, really, like, well, let me see. I take care of kids and I make sure everything's done there, and I go to their sports things and all that stuff. So, and I think like grief even adds another layer to this too. Like, because when Dave passed, and also definitely with Bryant too, but something shifted in my identity in a way that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you weren't just grieving him, now you're suddenly carrying the role of two parents.
Exactly.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. And I remember feeling, this deep pressure of that. Like, I had to hold everything together for the kids, for the family, for our future, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, because you didn't have a backup plan or a backup person, I guess I should say.
Yeah, yeah,
And women do that a lot. We step into survival mode.
for sure. I mean, I know I've been in survival mode a few times. And so um when you're there, it really doesn't leave much room for asking, what do I need, you know? Um or even what kind of life do I want? So, like, even it's been probably about like 6 months ago, and well, going on 6 months, I guess. Anyways, I started like really. I just took some time to really like seek, first of all, like what God had for my future, excuse me, as well as what I wanted. And, I started asking myself questions like, you know, what, what do you want to do? And for so many years, I feel like it had been all about like all the things like I mentioned before, like what errands needed done, what responsibilities were there, um, who needed to be where, just all those things. And I realized like as I feel like um I'm having a lot more time maybe to pursue different things. Um, I hadn't asked myself that question in years. Like honestly, the last time I started to ask myself that question, even a little bit, was after Bryant passed. And I think that was my first time that I realized, like, wow, like I'd really gotten lost in the whole role of wife and mom, special needs mom, caretaker, all those things. And after he passed, I think that's when I really started like self reflecting and realized like that I felt like I was just a shell of a person, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Almost, I mean, motherhood is a role, but almost like you're playing, you get so caught up, like almost like not an actress, but almost like playing such a role that you forget, maybe they can get so consumed in the role they're playing that they kind of like, sometimes I think they do. I think they throw themselves so much into a role, like really to, um, um, just do so good at that part or whatever. Then it's kind of hard to maybe like unravel and like shift back and forth, you know?
And I think forgetting that there can be different, well, first of all, like we have multiple roles, right? But there's still as the core person too, you know?
Yeah. And while I think motherhood is beautiful, it can also be very consuming.
It absolutely can. And this is the part that sometimes feels uncomfortable to say out loud. You can love your children deeply and still realize that somewhere along the way, you disappeared.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot of moms probably have a lot of guilt to even admit that.
I definitely think so. Like the second you say, I need something for myself, there's this internal voice that says, that's selfish. And you know what this actually made me think about even earlier today? Um, I think some of that we can even be taught, like I think you and I talked about this last week. Um, but like I was just thinking if well, I know of course it can be taught. Like if we see our mom or something play that role, or, I sort of feel like my mom sort of played the martyr, and then we think that's what we're supposed to do. Like, and yeah, you very much learn that, well, if I say I need something, that seems pretty darn selfish of me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My kids should come completely first over me, over everything. Yeah. Yeah.
And not even like it, like we think about that like consciously, like, oh, I I think it's subconscious. But I was even thinking about when I had my second one, and my older sister like reminded me, like, make sure you still have date nights and all those things, and like how important that is for you and Dave. And I was thinking, like, what are you talking about? Like, I just couldn't even imagine at that moment, like even leaving my baby. I was like this is the best thing ever. Like, I'm living my dream right now. I've got two kids. At that point, we only, like I said, it was my second one. And yeah, so, and those things are super important. But, back then I was just like, what? Like, I'm just being mom. I'm living my dream right now. Like, that's all I ever wanted, was to be a wife and a mom and have a family. So that's a whole different topic. But yes, I do think it's very important that you have date time, obviously, and all that stuff. Um, but I think also something I've learned over the past few years is this, and that's it. God did not create us to only exist as caregivers. He created us as a whole person.
Right. Yeah. And when we reconnect with who we are, it actually makes us better mothers.
Exactly. I believe that 100%, because you're no longer pouring from exhaustion. You're pouring from fullness. Do you feel like there's anything now that the kids have grown, like your kids are grown and gone and out of the home? Do you feel like there's anything that you're rediscovering about yourself now? Because you did have time before you had your son, they, like how we were talking about how my whole adult life has been being mom. But you had some time. So is there anything that you feel like you're rediscovering now, or discovering about yourself now, that it's just that you're in an empty nest, that it's just you and Tom?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't really know. And maybe other people can relate to it. I mean, honestly, because my sister told me about that book. She got the book, Bunny Exo's book, and she told me it was a page turner. She's like, I couldn't put it down, but I'm thinking, well, that's her. That's not me. I love to read. I mean, I guess I should say I'm a fast reader, but for something to really intrigue me. So when I really would like go down to the pool and take my book, I didn't feel like we all had our own little separate, just kind of quiet time. So I would take that time to read a book, and I really felt, I don't want to say proud of myself, but I felt accomplished. Like, I can't remember the last time I did this. I would never, even if I took a book on vacation, I would never read it. I would, I don't know, take it to make my luggage heavier. I don't know.
Kelly, I was going to say, like, first of all, yes, I think proud of yourself is the perfect word, because I was going to say, I am so proud of you. Like, all the time, you yeah, exactly. When is the last time you read a book? And the fact that you took it and you did, and should be proud of that. And it is an accomplishment.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And so did you enjoy, I mean, I know you enjoyed the book, but did you just enjoy even doing that for yourself, of like having that time of doing your own thing, of like just reading, and everyone's off doing their own thing, even though, and I think that's the beautiful thing, right? Of even like where we're talking about like pouring into ourselves, like you poured into yourself, even if it's just reading a book or whatever while you're sitting by the pool, and then you reconnect with family and have fun together.
Yeah. And I didn't feel selfish about it. I mean, at first maybe I did, because I was like, should I be sitting down here? Like, I mean, we did. We had plenty of times that we had conversation, and we were like laughing, and we had, a good time listening to music. But it was probably nice too for everybody to just kind of feel like maybe because I was doing that, or maybe somebody was on their phone or something like that, that we didn't have to fully be engaged the whole time. So maybe gave not permission, but for other people to just be like, oh, okay, we can just chill right now, you know? And I didn't completely finish it on vacation. I think I had like 2 or 3 chapters when I got home, and I still finished it. I was like, okay, you know?
Wow.
So,
Yeah, and I think that that's the piece of where we're talking about that you can be all the different things. Like you can be just Kelly, and read a book and enjoy that time all on your own, and then be wife too, and mom, and all those things. So I think that's beautiful and like a perfect example of it all. So, um, as we wrap this up today, I don't know, is there anything you want to share before we wrap up today, Kelly?
and oh, this does cross my mind, because I think when we're having these conversations, even this doesn't mean like your kids are, I don't know, this, you know me, I'm always trying to, like your kids aren't burdensome, like it's not like a reflection of that, because I think we do become all encompassed or consumed with our kids, but in a good way. Like I never really, well, I can't say never. And again, I think maybe it's because I had my son later in life. I think I was 31 when I had him. But once I had him, he was like my right arm. I just took him everywhere with me. He was lovely and enjoyable. And but I guess to the what the discussion is today, I guess yes, now even I think about this, like I miss my son because he doesn't live here. And then, my stepson and stepdaughter have moved out and stuff. And I still miss him. And I was thinking about this today, and it's funny because I was even thinking maybe I miss them so much because I'm not doing things to fill myself up. Does that make sense? Like I'm still like they're filling themselves up, like even my stepdaughter. And I thought I was so glad that, I mean, we had a great time on vacation. I had so much fun with her. But she even said, like, if my son doesn't call me when he's away, when, I'll, get my feelings hurt, like, oh, is he not even thinking about me and stuff like that. But she even said on vacation, she was like, hey, she's like, and we reach out to them. And she even said, she was like, hey, you guys can call me too. She goes, I just get so busy. I mean, she's in college and she's got so much going on. But it was just so good to hear it from her, even because she was like, it's not that I don't love you guys or miss you guys. She goes, I'm just really busy. So it's like our lives are kind of still here and their lives are just, like kind of all over the place. And I thought it was almost like a reflection, like, well, this is my time to be busy as well. Right? Does that make sense? I guess, and I guess I don't, if I maybe I think it's selfish. If I get so wrapped up in my own self, am I going to forget about them? And it'll make me emotional because I don't want to.
Mm. Kelly, I'm going to challenge you there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really believe that you could ever forget about them, even if you add things to your life?
Maybe that's not the right word to say. Gosh, that really struck a nerve. Yeah. And so maybe I do feel selfish if I'm fully enjoying my life to the fullest. I don't know.
So doesn't that go right along with what we're talking about today?
Yeah.
No, I think that's perfect to show how real that is for us moms, of thinking like that is selfish somehow.
Yeah. Because I can't live my kid's life for them. And I'm so proud of them. I'm so happy. And I can't. And I'm sure they would not want me to feel like, I mean, I don't, I have a great life. I do things and stuff like that. But for me to put a pause button for me, like, and just push play when they're around. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I want that for them. I want them to have the most fulfillment, but yeah, then realizing, yeah, I have permission to feel mine too.
Right. I was going to say, I think really that is a beautiful thing. Like, first of all, for your kids, if you keep it in the perspective of, because that's a story that you're telling yourself, right? Like, oh, do they not even miss me? Aren't they thinking about me? Well, yeah, they can be. And they can also be like doing all these incredible things, and like living life fully, which I know you want that for them, of course. And so the same thing for you of like, your kids are always in your mind. Like of course I think about my kids, and it does not mean, like you were even saying, it does not mean that they're like a burden or anything like that. I love my role as a mom, and I know you do too. That was my heart's desire, like family, mom, like marriage, like all, like that's all I ever wanted was family. Um so but we can also like be living life to the fullest too, like living our best life, like whether it's going to concerts and experiencing like all the things that we didn't when we were busy raising little ones, or if it's discovering what that is for us, if it's like, oh my gosh, I do love going walking after work each day, or I love to go out and just be in nature and go to um the trails and go hiking, and so maybe that's even like a little challenge for you in this season of like exploring and like just getting really curious, like what do I enjoy doing, and like doing those different things to find out, like, hey, like me, I was like, I'm just living, like I'm going to the concerts, I'm saying yes to the things because I don't want to end, I don't want my life to end, I don't know when my tomorrows are done, and I don't want to live with regrets of like, man, I really wish I would have. So maybe that's just a little challenge for you of like um experiencing different things too for yourself.
Yeah. And I absolutely do. I mean, you just mentioned the concert and things like that and stuff. And I think sometimes even when I talk to my son, you know, I and this might sound very contradictory but I think I'd like to tell him when I'm doing things too, because I think at the same time, I also want him to think like, what's my mom doing? Is she just being, you know what I mean? Is she living her life? Like, so, and I think sometimes he's proud of me, like, good for you. Good for you that you did that. Or whatever the situation is. And it's kind of funny, like to feel like you want your kids to be proud of you as well.
Absolutely. And I absolutely believe that he is thinking that. Like um even, and I know you do amazing things like going on trips, and you're like, it feels like you're always on a trip, like and but that's beautiful that that's your season of life that you can do that. Like, give me a few more years and I told you when you were in Florida you'll be checking on me like, hey, how's the weather in Florida when I'm living there.
No, what I
So
told you was you're not moving to Florida is what I told you.
yeah, I hear that from one of my kids too. I'm not going anywhere. um but um what was I going to say? But I do believe, yeah, like I feel like your son is similar to some of mine, very much so in some ways. And like even my oldest, he was like, when we were talking about the concerts this year and stuff, and he was like, look at you go, mom. Like, so I know like they are just as happy for us. It doesn't escape him. I think he knows life wasn't always easy for you, and to like see you like living and having fun like that would probably bring him nothing more, just more joy. Like I love that for my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wrapping this up for today, if you're listening and you're feeling like um you've lost yourself somewhere along the way, if this conversation resonated with you, if you can relate to the like, man, I feel selfish, all those different things, um, I want to say something to you gently. You're not selfish for wanting to exist as a whole person. I mean, this is really what Kelly and I were just talking about. You are human too.
And sometimes rediscovering yourself starts small. Try something again, resting, letting yourself, giving yourself permission to enjoy life again. Maybe read a book.
Yes, I was going to say that's exactly where we're challenging Kelly now to let yourself enjoy life again. We are going to check back to see what you've experienced, what you've been experimenting with. Experimenting, that might not have been the best word, but whatever. We'll go with it.
I know what you meant. I think.
So you're allowed to be a mother and a woman with dreams. Like, I want our listeners to hear that. We are allowed to have both, and they both can exist, you know? Before we close today, I just want to gently remind you of something. If this conversation stirred anything in you today, if you're feeling overwhelmed or carrying a lot emotionally, I created something called 10 Minutes to Feel Held. And it's just a short guided prayer and a grounding. And it also comes along with, I would say, a reflection guide for you, or a prayer guide with anybody's. So a space just for you to sit with God and breathe for a few minutes. Nothing to figure out, nothing to fix, just a moment where you get to be held too. I'll put the link in the show notes if you want that. And as always, we send you off with so much love. Thank you for spending time with us on Breaking the Silence. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, hope, and maybe even a little laughter. Because healing doesn't have to happen alone. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it too. And be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss a moment with Kelly and I. Until next time, remember, you're not alone, and there's always space for you here.